It's December, and winter has definitely arrived here in the fish tank barn. Last week, we took a look at the new betta sorority and some of the new schooling fish we got into the barn. Those weren't the only fish that came into the barn over the last month. So let's go ahead and take a tour of the rest of the new fish, as well as update some of the other things that we've got going on here in the fish tank barn. So let me introduce you to the new 90-gallon rainbow fish tank. This tank was formerly inhabited by a colony of jeweled Goodeids, which I moved to a 40-gallon breeder in another part of the fish tank barn. So after the Goodeids left, I went ahead and added a heater, raising the temperature to 75 degrees, and then proceeded to re-aquascape this tank with some new driftwood, added a bunch more Vallisneria, which is in abundance here in the fish tank barn, some Java fern, and some pretty cool rainbow fish that I got from Dan's Fish. So let's go ahead and talk about the larger of the two species in this tank, the Melanitanium trifasciata species from Habgood River. As the name would suggest, these fish are located in the Habgood River, which is located in the Northern Territories of Australia. These are quite a large fish, reaching a length of 4.5 to 5 inches. So definitely want to put them in that 4-foot tank to give them plenty of swimming space. So the other species we have in here are the Chilotherina alani from Siriwu River. So this species hails from Papua New Guinea and actually is from the northern part of West Papua, and was first introduced to the hobby in 2008. So according to Dan's listing, these fish were originally obtained by someone named Johannes Graf. What I do think is really cool about this fish is that the males are starting to show off. Males do get a really bright color when they're showing off to potential mates as well as other males. But they really do get a striking appearance. They do get a little bit of a yellow line on the top of their body, which I'm not sure shows up on the camera. And really just have some really striking colors. They will get smaller than the trifasciata that we talked about earlier, only getting to about 3 inches or so. But this is definitely another beautiful fish to have here in the fish tank barn. So I definitely need to get in gear with the rainbow fish breeding project. Getting some more spawning mops made. So that's definitely a plan for over the holidays. But I am really happy to have these fish. Really excited to get these guys breeding. And I really hope to get these out to some of my fish keeping friends sometime here in the near future. So moving onward, keeping with the rainbow fish theme, we did make some more additions to this 40-gallon breeder, which already houses the Antinobius toweride, a Goodeid species, and the Variatus platies. So along with the rainbow fish that we just saw, I did add a group of Pseudomogul Luminatus, which I also got from Dan. So Jimmy from the Aquarium Co-op and Bob Steenfott really turned me on to these fish. These fish were on the background to Bob's live streams, featuring a tank that Jimmy had that featured the Luminatus rainbows and some ember tetras. These gorgeous fish hail from south central New Guinea and are very peaceful and get about 1.5 inches in length. What I do really like about this species is it can tolerate a wide range of temperature, 64 to 78 degrees, and a wide pH range of 6.5 to 7.5. These little fish have made a great addition to this 40 breeder, and I really can't wait to see them get their full potential. So there were some other changes that I did make to this tank. I did remove the large dwarf aquarium lily and move that to the betta sorority upstairs. I also did add some cryptocorns as well as some dwarf hairgrass. One other thing I really do want to note is the Antinobius toweride fry have really started to put on some size. I am pretty excited to see how this tank will turn out once the Antinobius toweride grow out with their wonderful blue tails as well as the Luminatus with their striking colors. I think it'll definitely be something to see. Another tank that has seen some new additions is the 125-gallon South American tank that we spoke about in last month's update. I did change out the piece of driftwood that wouldn't sink that we saw in last month's video with this new piece that you see here. I've also added 20 Von Rio Tetras that I picked up from Aquahuna, and I'm really looking forward to seeing these guys attain their adult size. I have also added these 3 Geophagus Sveni, which I picked up at a local fish store. These colorful earth eaters are native to Brazil, reaching about 6.5 inches in size, They are very peaceful species, but definitely should be kept in groups to maximize their coloration and behavior. What makes this species a lot of fun is watching them dig around the sand, moving that sand through their gills, looking for morsels of food. So along with the Von Rio Tetras, we've definitely added a splash of color to this tank. This next tank is a story of new beginnings. Unfortunately, about 2 months ago, I lost the last discus in this tank, which I'd had for 3 years. It was definitely a sad day in the fish tank barn. So after a short waiting period, I moved some fish from some other parts of the fish tank barn, and this tank was reborn. Since he was getting picked on by the black skirt tetras that were in the 125 that we just looked at, I did move this angelfish over, and he's much happier in this tank. I also moved the Melanitania species Collie timbuni and 4 Pistogramma cockatoides from tanks that were upstairs. Finally, I added 6 Corydoras rabauti, which I purchased from Dan's Fish, which came with the rainbow fish that we saw earlier. These Corydoras species is native to Peru and Brazil and reaches a size of about 2.5 inches. This is a great fish that can handle a variety of different water parameters, including temperature and pH, as long as sudden changes are avoided. These Cory cats have been a little bit reclusive, but when they are out, it is really fun to watch them school around. I was also able to add to my school of Cyprichromis, Leptosoma, Yellowhead, and Conde. I was able to purchase 6 of these fish from Sand City Cichlids, bringing the total number to 12 in this 125-gallon tank. The original 6 fish have really put on some size in the last few months and are starting to show a little bit of that wonderful black color. These colorful Lake Tanganyika fish are some of my favorites in the hobby. This is one species that I'm really hoping to get breeding in the coming months. Speaking of fry, let me give you an update on some of the fry here in the barn. Last month we spoke about the 40-gallon breeder with the black Berlin swordtails that we were looking to get some fry from. Well, we've got some fry. There are probably about 5 or 6 of these guys moving around the tank, along with the Melanitania species Wallace Road that we pulled out of the tank with the jeweled Goodeids. So definitely, this tank is moving right along, and moving these fish was a great decision. Heading upstairs, we also have hordes of Daffodil Burchardi and Neolamprologus similis fry from the tank I got from Jimmy back in July. This 75-gallon is almost overrun with them. I've even had thoughts of splitting this tank up and moving each group into its own species tank, but we'll see. Some of the Goodeid populations are starting to come alive as well. These Tequila Goodeids have finally started growing their numbers after about a year or so in the fish tank barn. So even this reclusive male is making an appearance. So definitely really happy to see this group start growing. This Skiffia multipunctata group are some of the oldest fish in the fish tank barn, and we're finally starting to see some fry. They had some fry when I first got them a couple years ago, but I haven't seen some fry in some time. But thankfully, some fry are starting to show up, which is really good news, because I wasn't able to BAP these fish when they first had their fry. So now let's go do one of my favorite things to do in the fish tank barn, and that's to feed the mbuna fry tub. It's really a lot of fun to watch these guys go after the food. So I'm going to feed them some of this extreme 1.5 millimeter pellet that I get from the aquarium co-op. So let's throw it in and watch the show.